You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Woo! What a week. Oh my goodness. I am just on cloud nine right now. I don't even know how to put all of this in words. It's been a week in all of the most awesome, fantastic ways I can describe it. I am just elated and in awe of the amount of love that has been poured onto me from so many of you all from across the country. And it's just been a journey and joy. So much has happened since we last got together. I kind of gave you all this surprise bonus episode, which was a thrill. And we got so much to talk about. So I want to get to it. This book, The Case for Cancel Culture, my debut, has just been overwhelmingly awesome. The book is out everywhere where books are sold, except Uncle Bobby's books. We'll get to that in a minute. But you can find this book online. And I know you've been buying the book and you all have been loving the audiobook. And I'm happy that you are loving the audiobook so much because, woo, that was a journey within itself, as you know. But I really love the fact that so many of you all have been talking about the editing and the volume and the quality and the style. You know, I learned a lot about audiobook recording in such a short amount of time, but people say I sound like a natural, like this is my thing. And I think a lot of it has been podcasts, right? Doing a podcast gave me a lot of practice, and also being able to be a pretty good damn public speaker. A lot of fun quirks came out of writing the book, and recording specifically the audiobook, which has topped the chart several times on Amazon this past week. You all have been buying up the audiobook like crazy, and I love it. I love it. Audible has been great to me, and just all of you all who have been listening to the book, you know, while going to work and traveling, and, you know, the podcast connected to it. So if you're not listening to Ernestly Speaking, you're going and listening to The Case for Cancel Culture, which is awesome. And I've been so happy to hear all of you all's responses and reactions to the book, whether you're reading the hardback or you're on Kindle or you're listening to audiobook. It's just been great to get you all's DMs and tweets and Facebook messages and all of that, sharing your experiences. And it's been wonderful going on this national tour, which has kicked off already. I've already left the road. I just actually wrapped up Washington, D.C. I was at Busboys and Poets, the main one in the main stage. I was there with Jamila Bay, who's this incredible broadcast journalist in DC, and we had a good conversation about the book, and the room was packed and folks that I didn't even know was there. And I think it's kind of cool when you do a tour and you start to get out of familiar terrain. And that has definitely started. And the tour continues. Tuesday, I'll be at Harvard Bookstore, and no one else knows this yet until I put it on social media, but C-SPAN is going to record this book talk that I'm doing with The Emancipator, which is a publication in collaboration with the Boston Globe. And the wonderful, incredible woman who will be in conversation with me for that special occasion is none other than the legendary Deborah Douglas. If you don't know who Deborah Douglas is, Google her. She's incredible. She's over at the Emancipator, and she's actually going to be transitioning to a new opportunity in another media outlet. But she's giving me, you know, her big, you know, grand finale there, having this wonderful discussion with me. And Deborah has been a big, huge fan of the work that I've been doing for so many years. So it's wonderful to have this in-person experience. And at Harvard and Cambridge, Massachusetts, Boston, stand up. We're in there. And then the following week, well, actually back up, I'll be in Boston at the beginning of this week. And then I'll be in Santa Clara University in California. And then the following week, so next Tuesday, I'll be in Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn. Where Brooklyn at? New York. You all got me. You all love it was like, when you coming to New York? When New York, New York? I am going to be in New York on March 7th at 6:30 at the Barnes & Noble in Brooklyn at Atlantic Avenue. Okay. So New York, that's where I'm going to be. A lot of you all were like, "Oh, don't go to Manhattan and mix it up, have fun, come to one of the boroughs or whatever." I'm going to be in Brooklyn, so you all better be there, New York. Okay, I want to see that crowd. I want to see an audience, which I don't doubt. If anything, if just Abel and Nina came out, and that would be more than enough. But I know more people of you are coming, so I can't wait to see everyone in New York show up and show love for this important conversation. But I'm focused on the week ahead. It's going to be a massive week. I will be literally out of town this entire week, outside of Monday. Monday, which you all listen to this podcast, I'm here in Philly. I'll be speaking at a school, a high school in Philly called Gantz. Gantz, it's called. So I'll be there, and then I'll be chilling, packing, resting. I actually have some interviews and some media interviews for Sirius, radio that I'll be doing on Monday. But after that, I'm on the road to Boston and then California, and I'll be there until Saturday morning, and then I'll be in New York, in Brooklyn for the weekend for Abel's birthday, my good friend Abel, of course, his birthday. And so I'll be in Brooklyn for an overnight stay. I'll be there Saturday, and then I'll be leaving Sunday afternoon, back in Philly, resting, chilling, and then back on down to Brooklyn again on Tuesday for the Barnes & Noble speaking engagement. So I am booked and busy, baby, okay? And the calendar of book tours is continuing to expand. Can't announce them yet because I got to let that ink dry, but I'll definitely be traveling and also doubling back and circling back to some parts of the country to speak. So if some of you all missed me in Philly, I'll be back again in Philly very soon doing a specific book event, but it's just been so much planning, and the love and the embrace has been great. It's been awesome. So I don't know, where do I start? Where do I go? I guess before I get into the book, I'll talk about some of my other things that's been going on. So my family, of course, as you all know, came for the book tour, came for the book kickoff, and we went, my mom and I, and Mr. Johnson, we went to a restaurant called Joey Chops that was in Malvern. And I had never really been to Malvern before, but this restaurant, Joey Chops, as you all saw the pictures, the food was phenomenal. It was a great restaurant. It was worth the drive. Great food, Joey Chops. It's like steak. They have duck. I had the duck breast. I've had a duck obsession for the past 2 weeks. I've had a lot of duck lately. I went to Entree, had duck there. Went to Booker's in West Philly and had Entree was in South Philly, had duck there, duck breast, then had duck and waffles at Booker's in West Philly, then went to Joey Chops in Malvern and had duck there, then went to Fishtown near a Thai restaurant right next to Harriet's and had peckling duck. Like, I'm quack, quack, quack. I've had a quacking moment. I feel like I'm going to turn into a duck with all this eating. But whatever reason, duck season is for me right now. I don't know. It's just been on my mind. It's been in my appetite. I've had phases like that where I've had interesting meats or cuts that are just, whatever reason, that's what I'm driven by. Like, I had a lamb phase that was just out of this world. Like, I want to say a month or so ago, everything was lamb shank, lamb, shawarma, like everything was just lamb. So I have those moments where I'm just like, I really am craving a particular thing. I had a salmon obsession during the pandemic that was just out of this world. And it was like, everything was salmon, and it was just ridiculous. And then I finally eased off of that and had a shrimp infatuation for a period. I don't know. I wonder if other people have that. Let me know. Tweet about it, Instagram me. Like, do you have these weird like cravings for a certain particular meat or something, and you just go obsessed and go super ham on it, and then it goes away and you kind of chill out, and then something else emerges? I just feel like I have those moments with foods that I eat that I just can't get enough of it, and then eventually I move on to something else that I'm like addicted to as far as the meat go. But maybe it's just my quirks, but it's just something about it. So I'm having a duck moment right now. I just can't get enough of it. It'll go away soon, and it'll be something else I'll be into. But right now, it just seems like duck is on the menu. So Joey Chops was phenomenal. It was a great time. And then Mr. Johnson and I later in the week went to Frame, which is in Old City. And Frame is fun, y'all. I love it. They had an upstairs nightclub experience called Unframed, I think it was called. And it was like a rave. But I didn't really go upstairs like that. I went, peeked in, took a picture, and then went my ass right back downstairs. Because people are getting exposed to COVID again. I know COVID's been around, so it's not like they've been all the way exposed. Well, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like COVID has reemerged. And it's not like it's a new strand, or at least I haven't read up on it. It's just interesting how COVID coverage has kind of dwindled. But people are still getting exposed to COVID. And I had a couple of events that I've went to where people were like, oh, I couldn't go because I got COVID and they weren't able to attend. And I'm like, damn. So I have not been playing with COVID. I have been masking up in certain places. I have been, back, give me 50 feet. Hand sanitizer has been on fleek. It's not that I, am doing it all the way back to 2020 on people, but I am definitely getting a little bit more vigilant, especially with this book tour, because I need to complete these dates. And I want to sell these books and I want to collect checks. So if you are sick or under the weather, shout out to the people who were like, look, I got exposed, didn't necessarily have it, but I didn't take the risk. Unfortunately, my book agent, who's based in Canada, she couldn't come to my big book launch because she said, she was exposed. Fortunately, she's well, but damn it, she came all the way from Canada and couldn't make it. And so we'll see each other again, of course, but it's just like, let's just be vigilant, y'all. Just don't take it. Don't sleep on it. So, there's been a lot going on as far as, restaurants. So Frame was great. Thinking of other places I've ate this week. I've been all over the place. I think those are the major highlights around food. So I guess, okay, before I get into the book tour and the details about that, because you all have had questions and I have answers. So I got my tickets to Renaissance. Let me tell you, it was an interesting experience. My Renaissance ticket experience went smoothly. So the way that this went down, the boys and I went to, where did we go? We went to Philadelphia Distilling, which you all know I love, okay? Philadelphia Distilling. Shout out to Blue Coast, shout out to Philadelphia Distilling. They were the official liquor sponsor for my book launch party, which was on the day the book came out, Tuesday, February 21st. And I'll talk about that event and talk about some of the interesting things that came up in conversation around it. But we went there, Blue Coat, Philadelphia Distilling celebrated its 6th anniversary in Fishtown. They had a headquarters at the distillery. They had these ridiculous drink specials. They gave out free birthday cake. It was a fabulous time. The whole family came out. The Litt brothers were there, of course. And it was a great time to connect, and we had great drinks. What I love about Philadelphia Distilling, which is like one of my favorite places, it's my all-time favorite bar in Philadelphia. They gave us every of their best-selling drink of that year, and they sold it for $10, and everything was on fleek or on point. Look at me going back in the day. But it was a great time. It was lovely, and the Litt brothers had a wonderful time. We all got together and had great drinks. Well, I bring this up to say that night, we all got a notification from Ticketmaster. So we all did the little fan early review registering, which, I want to say that was stupid, but I'll get to why I was a little cynical about that. So we all got this fan alert thing about registering for tickets. I don't know what the hell Ticketmaster was doing, but we all 4 of us, Jamarcus, Josh, George, and myself did it. Well, George got the code. So if you get the code, you can buy up to 4 tickets. Well, it's 4 of us. So we were like, okay, we doing it. We getting in. We were excited because he had the code. Now we said to ourselves, before we get into this, we need to establish a budget. And so we were like, look, we want to get some good tickets. We're not trying to break the bank because, Mrs. Giselle Knowles is not doing a step and repeat, fan meet and greet situation. So I didn't feel comfortable dropping too much money if I was going to get a photo. Okay. Because I remember when Britney Spears came to Philadelphia and she was doing meet and greets and the fans were getting photos and it was a different type of situation. Beyonce not doing no meet and greets anymore. She probably did that back in the Destiny's Child era. I should have got those pictures when she was going and doing malls and stores and stuff like that back in H-Town days. But look, we didn't know how these people were going to land. There was a lot of artists out there that we just didn't know how they were going to turn out, like Nivea and Ashanti, and no shade to them. They got their checks, but it's just like none of us thought that Beyonce was going to be Beyonce. So we didn't, I wonder how many artists are out there right now that we're sleeping on, or we just not pressed on, that in maybe 10, 15 years, they might blow up in that kind of way. I don't know. Maybe it was Sierra back then. I seen Sierra a couple of times and I was just like, I went to the rodeo and those shows in Houston and the malls and stuff. And we just like, oh, that's Sierra. We loved her, but it wasn't like we were pressed to do photos. Looking back in retrospect now, maybe more so now, but we were all into, B2K and Bow Wow. I got a picture of Bow Wow and I got a picture of a couple of those guys, but like with those guys, but I got a picture of Omarion. I just realized that. But like, those were the people we were crazy about trying to get photos. But everybody else was like, Usher, like, my God, I don't got a photo with Usher, but like, that was the era, and it wasn't that we didn't like Beyonce or the other girls, but we just wasn't like, I never heard anyone be like, I got to get a picture with Alicia Keys. Said no one ever. At least no one around me. And there's no shots to Alicia Keys. She's a Grammy Award-winning artist. She's an incredible musician. But that's just not where the energy was back then. It just wasn't. Let's keep it 100, people. So that being said, we had a range. The range was that we didn't want to get, notice this very carefully. We didn't want to get tickets. We wanted good seats. The goal was to get Club Renaissance initially. It was like, we want Club Renaissance. Initially, that was like the ballpark for us, and if it was reasonable. And then if we didn't get Club Renaissance, we wanted to be the closest to the pit as possible. And in our heads, we were like, look, the range would be around 500 to 700. I think we were like 700 was it. We didn't want to go too over 700 unless it was something ridiculous. But we mentally thought that was the range. Well, here's what happened. George got the code. He was like, look, he's going to buy the 4 tickets up front so we would be straight because none of us had the code. And then he was going to get the tickets. So when he went in the system trying to get Club Renaissance sold out within like, I don't know, a breath. Like, poof, it was just gone. And we never found out how much those tickets cost at Club Renaissance. I think they were like, I can't remember how much they was costing, but they weren't that bad. So then the pit right next to it was like $475. So we actually did pretty good. The tickets were not that bad in Philly, surprisingly. So, or maybe it's because he had an American Express card. Because see, that's the thing. There was like this priority that I think went to American Express card holders, and George has a gold card. So I think that's what happened. And whoever, and I think that's why he had the code over us, because I had a friend who said they got a code over the weekend. And I'm like, so you didn't even get the opportunity to get the type of seats that we got. So I think we're like on the 10th or 7th row. I guess that's the descriptor, which is not bad. We're like on the floor. I think we got floor tickets. So we're really good. We're not in nosebleeds. We're definitely in seats where our nose and snot can hit the floor and the ground. So we're in snot floor seats. That sounds nasty. I'll just say we're in sneeze side. I don't know. Shit. We're on the floor. We're on the ground, which is pretty dope. So we love our seats. Our seats were good. We were blessed with a good pricing rate. My bestie Jamarcus' birthday is in July. He's July 4th of July. We acknowledge, as you all know, 4th of Jamarcus, but the show was July 12th. So I just gave it to him as an early birthday gift because it's hard with the friends. You don't know what they want and what they can do. So I just got his ticket. So, he got a happy early birthday gift. So now we can just focus on fashion and we're making some fashion decisions. So Telfar, as you know, I know around this time for my early super podcast listeners, I am shooting to get the Telfar Black Duffel. I want the large Telfar Duffel this week. It is going on sale. The black Telfar Duffel bag is going on sale. And I want the large one because I'm doing all this traveling, and I have the large black Telfar shopping bag, but to be honest, I want the duffel because I feel like that's more appropriate to shop with. Now, the large one is good for carry on, but that's going to now be my personal. And I'm looking for the carry on to be the duffel. Yeah, these are like first world problems, okay? But I'm just making a point. So I need to get this duffel. So have me in your thoughts and prayers, y'all, this week as I pursue my large black Telfar duffel. I need to get it. I want the large one, I want the small one, I want the big ass one. So, have me your thoughts and prayers as I pursue this. Now, I have a track record of getting most of all of the Telfar things I want. I got the Telfar wallet. I got the Telfar 2 medium bags, a large bag, the medium pill, and the small pill. I got the large pill, not the large pill, the medium pill last week because I realized with this Beyonce tour, I cannot carry one of those bags. I love Telfar, but I'm not bringing a Telfie to the Beyonce concert. I need to still have Telfie on the body, but I need something that can take my ID and all my shit. So these pills, people are like, what are those? Those are the things that actually are dope because you can attach it to like the pants buckle or the belt buckle area thing. It stays on you. It's very, noticeable, and it carries all your major essentials. So when you're on a tour, you go to a music festival, you want to be cute, you want to have your stuff on you, but you also don't want to carry big things. So this is going to be my item I'm going to wear on me, and it's nice, it's black, it's chic. We're thinking about doing mesh. We're thinking about doing what did he say? Not Balmain, Mugler, black. We're doing some big things for this concert. The Lit Brothers are definitely going to be super lit and in style. So we're already pre-planning our Renaissance fits now because it's not about summer bodies for us. All bodies are summer bodies, FYI. But not all fits are going to be available by now. So we're slowly thinking about pieces and figuring out how we're going to coordinate and look good. The decision starts now. Because next thing you know, we're going to blink our eyes and it's going to be like the end of June. And people are going to be like, what am I going to wear to this music fest? We're not playing those games. It's not like I can go to Roots Festival, but more on that in a minute. So we're looking forward to Renaissance. We're in there. We're going to be there. And if you're at Renaissance in Philly, we look forward to seeing you there. You might catch us on the floor. If you in Club Renaissance and you just so happen to have 4 spare tickets, let's have a conversation, shall we? But nonetheless, if you're on that floor, you're going to be in that show. We're going to be in the building. So, we looking forward to a good time, and we will definitely take pictures, and we just hype because we know a lot of people we know are going to be there, and we're going to just, have a good time and make history. So we're looking forward to the Renaissance tour in Philadelphia. One of my friends was saying that she couldn't get tickets in Philly, but she got tickets in LA. And yeah, I'm going to call you out, girl. Nina was over here whining about how she didn't get tickets in Philly. Girl, you in LA. Okay. And you already got tickets. So probably the Beehive or the B agency, because the Beehive is the fans, the B agency, the team probably looked and said, no double dipping. You can't just be getting tickets all over the place. Okay. You gotta share the love and spread the love. Cause none of us got Houston, which was like, whatever, because Houston would have been lit because my family has a house in Houston. They live in Houston, and we were loving it to be okay, you all could easily stay at our crib, and then we can then travel, go to Houston, go to the show, and we didn't have to worry about anything. All we would do is get our air travel. But that unfortunately did not happen, which is fine. But we got Philly, we got our city, so it's gonna be lit either way. So we're super excited about the Renaissance tour. I'm very excited about it. I'm happy that this is happening, and this may be one of the last shows Beyonce is going to do at this magnitude at the height of her career. And I can imagine her beginning to start to wind down. She's been in the game for a quarter of a century, and she's about to get Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in the next year or so, or plus more. But the next 5 years, I think she'll be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And she's getting to that level, it's just, this is probably how Janet Jackson fans felt maybe over a decade ago when they saw their fave getting to that point where they was going to take a break, or Janet's still on tour now, but take that pace. Madonna, she ain't never rest. She's been in the game for 40 something years. But, at some point, these artists begin to slow it down a little bit. We saw that Mariah, Emancipation of Me. She did a couple other albums and things, but she hasn't done that excessive type of touring since then. All artists in that era, it takes that time to take that break. So, this might be one of her last big primetime productions. And she deserves that time and that space to take that breather. Now, it's making me think though, this Renaissance album was like Act One. So what's up with Act Two? Act Three? Like, what's going on? It's three acts. So what's up with Act Two? What's up with Act Three? Where the hell are these visuals? I mean, the Grammys are over, girl. Like, where are the visuals? Are you giving us visuals to prepare ourselves for the album, or just no visuals? Maybe there were just no visuals. Maybe the visuals were the commercials to promote, Tiffany and Company, whatever. But, here we are. So the book tour, the book buzz. Okay. So where do I start? I'll start with the day the book came out. It was a great day, a beautiful day. I had a VIP launch party for my book that was at the Comcast Technology Center. That was very special to me and intentional. Everything I've done with this book tour and this book has been rooted in intentionality. I got my nails done. You all love these nails. I call them my cancel nails, which I dropped these a while back, but these are special. Black powder dip gel on top of the powder dip. I'm all about powder dip. And gold X's to represent the X's of the cancel symbol. So I call them cancel nails, and they're so fabulous. People have loved the nails. They're gorgeous. These are probably one of my favorite sets, actually. They have definitely grown on me and are so cute. And what I like about them is they make a statement, but they can blend in with everything else that I wear without, standing too out. I love a good glitter nail, but I was like, let me mix it up. So I'm rocking these nails on the first leg of this tour. And they've been a great conversation starter. Love my nails. And, it's cute. So shout out to my girl V at Lux Nails in University City. She does the best nails in the city, in my opinion. And she does a good pedicure too. So I get the pedi and the mani now because, I'm too cute to not have my feet done. Men, get your feet done, okay? And you got to get a good pedicure. Some of y'all got some dead skin cells at the back of those feet. And I'm not calling out any of the men in my life, but all I'm saying is that when you get to a certain age, especially when you get past 18 to 21, okay, the feet just don't naturally become baby feet anymore. You start to develop. I put it this way: you need a pedicure the moment your feet decides to get a smell on its own. Okay, if your feet can create an odor on its own, that also means that it's time to get a pedicure in general. There may not be no causation correlation to that, but it's just like, to me, your feet needs work, because if your feet creates an odor and you're not doing anything to address the dead skin cells, then that bad odor traps into those skin cells and it creates a problem. That's why you start seeing some people's feet be like really crusty or very yellow, because bacteria begins to track into the feet. You have to liberate your feet, okay? Okay. So yeah, I think pedicures are very important. Manicures are as well, because listen, nobody wants to see them nasty, dirty nails. I think what has been alluring is that I have kept me some, maintenance is important for every gender, every identity. Okay, people who are non-binary, people who are female, people who are male, everybody needs to be having good maintenance in some type of way. Now, you don't have to spend crazy dollars. Everybody got their own budgets. But maintenance, people, maintenance, especially if you out here trying to, make an impression. And all of us at least strive to do so. So maintenance is important. Keep these nails clean. Keep these teeth brushed. Keep that breath right. Keep the hair looking the best it can be for how you want your hair to look. So if you're doing a style and you're doing locks, don't let your locks be dry. I'm not saying cut your hair off. I'm just saying if you're going to do a style, whatever you're doing, keep it fresh, keep it clean for yourself. However you define that hygiene. So I'm not preaching respectability politics on, because let me be clear, respectability politics does not simply smell good. It means, sanitation. And sanitation is not respectability politics. Sanitation is just good health. Okay, good health. Bad breath is not good for you. It will kill you. So, literally, it will. Bad breath is not good. Talk to dental people. Talk to dentists and dental students and people. I'm going on my tirade, but you know how I do. Some of y'all still are talking to me about how I went into this whole diatribe about cologne. But didn't it make all the difference? And some of y'all have never thought of cologne the same, especially some of the men that listen to this, the straight men specifically that listen to this podcast. There's some brothers that came up to me and said, listen, I've been wearing perfume too much. And now I understand why my girl is telling me I need to tone it down my cologne. I know how to do that. So now you probably using Outelet. You didn't tone it down, and that's good. There is a guy, will not name him on the spot, but he was definitely using some heavy, heavy, heavy cologne. He's from Philly, and he was using the oils. And if you're in Philly, you know what I mean by the oils. And I have to say, you were too grown. That was cute when you was probably 15 going to, whatever school you was going to, Central or something like that. But you cannot do oils in your grown-ass age. So it's time to let the oils go, which they did. And now they have started on a bottle of Creed. Now, y'all know I don't personally like Creed because everybody in my mama use Creed. But I was like, look, we got to start somewhere. So now they're using Creed at the level to which they need to be using it. And they're making some good progress. But we got to help each other out here, fellas. Like, listen, there are women out here who clearly in their circles are already having these types of discussions. But I think men need to have more conversations about hygiene and maintenance. It's a thing. It's important. We need to talk about it, especially working professional men in these streets. I have friends that be like, look, I'm single. I'm trying to mingle. And I'm like, well, how is that going for you? Get them hands together. This little Ash, you can't be out here trying to get chose. Get yourself chose. Choose yourself before you try to get chose by someone else. How about that? So yes, this is important. But anywho, I digress. What the hell was I talking about? The nails for the book launch party. Staying on track. So I got my nails done, got my haircut done. Okay, first decision is my only decision. Y'all already know. Had a great outfit that I just was ready to wear, looking good. My mother, you all gas her up every time y'all see her, but we had so much fun together and we matched. We were both black and gold. We had 150 people come to this book launch party. Hors d'oeuvres were popping, blue coat cocktails were flowing. It was legit, you all. People have said it's the best book launch party they've ever been to. And it has definitely been the best damn book launch party I've ever been to, if I do say so myself. We had a view of the city. A lot of people have never been inside that space at the Comcast Technology Center. It was innovative. Okay, we was not in the Comcast Center, the Technology Center, that new building right across from it. It was gorgeous. It was immaculate. The views of the city were breathtaking. The cocktails were incredible. The hors d'oeuvres were fabulous. Shout out to Janine Cook, the owner of Harriet's Books. She did a huge, gorgeous, beautiful book exhibit to sell the books, and she decorated everything and made a concept. And you all saw some of the photos. Everybody was there. Everybody who I wanted was there. Close family and friends and big, huge fans that I personally have met before was a part of this exciting experience. It was a joyride. Of course, Patty Jackson, the legendary Miss Patty Jackson, was in conversation when we talked about the book and so much other things. So you can go back and listen to that special edition episode, which was that I released earlier last week. Please listen to it and check it out. We had a really great discussion about the book and everything else. And some of the conversations we had there definitely lingered into the week. So we're going to touch on some of those topics. But I just want to say that, it's been interesting to see how people have reacted since that party. But before I get to that, I need to shout out some people. I need to shout out Philadelphia Community Access Media Philly Camp. What a class act. Presented me with a proclamation from my 6 years of service on their board and being a longtime member of Philly Camp. I did Ernestly Speaking, the show there, and did a special election special. And they just continue to encourage me and support the work that I do outside the organization. So it was nice to see the executive director, Gretchen Clausing, who is a good friend of mine, present me that and surprise me with that honor. Shout out to City Councilwoman Catherine Gimmer Richardson, who presented me with a city citation that was unanimously passed by the city of Philadelphia and all members of City Council, acknowledging my impact and the importance of my book. That was just like emotional, and I cried like a baby. But the only people that saw that was the people that was in that room. But it was a full circle moment, and just so much joy to be recognized in that way, and by someone who is an incredible person. She is an elected official, but she's just a damn good person. And my husband, Mr. Johnson, is her communications director. So, he has a really great boss. So it was just a good event altogether. But I want to say this. It's interesting when you have these events, surprise events and great events, there's people who begin to start to ask, well, why wasn't I invited? Why wasn't I there? Maybe because that's just wasn't what I wanted to do. And it's not necessarily personal, in the words of my girl Monica. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Okay? Just recognize that, hey, I could fit 150 people in that venue, and the top 150 people that I wanted to be there was there. And sometimes we get so caught up in trying to make it all about you. It's not about you, boo. Don't take it personal. There's some people that have called me over the weekend and have just been, listen, let me be very clear. I'm venting slightly on this podcast, but honestly, I don't give a fuck. But to be clear about it, though, it was some people that were like, telling me this whole, oh, I see you had an event. How about you have a little bit of class, honey? How about just simply say, hey, you look like you had a good time. Congratulations. That's all you have to say. Not, oh, I didn't see my invite. I must have missed my invite. No, you didn't get an invite. Be an adult. Stop being passive aggressive and stop taking it personal. Like, my gosh. Like, it's interesting that there were some people that felt a sense of entitlement to come to my event. Because for whatever reason, they thought that us knowing each other for a long time meant that they were automatically invited. But, let me just say something about myself, and a little bit about myself. There are a lot of fake ass people that I encounter in the media industry, that smile in my face, say nice things, but talk shit behind my back. And they don't think I know that they do it, but people be telling me, folks be looking out. I have guardian angels out there and good folks out there that be letting me know what's up. And so it's not that I'm in a position in my career where I'm not going to confront every single person that says something about me anymore. Because some of these people are not that powerful or relevant in that way to require a response. Like when you're beefing with Elon Musk, which we'll get to on Twitter, you can give a fuck less what Humpty Dumpty is saying across the street in your backyard. So there has to be a distinction. And so for me, I've learned the older I get, the more I realize I don't have to respond to things that don't serve me. And how you respond sometimes is just doing you. And when situations like this arise, you kind of let it be clear in your own way. So there were some people I didn't invite, not because it was beef or a problem. It's just that one, I just didn't think we were close like that. It's just only so many people that can come. And quite frankly, I don't need to give a justification or rationale about it right now. But I'm just like, it's my podcast. I'll speak on it here. But I'm not making it a big point elsewhere because, to be honest, like, if you was going for your own self, then you was there for the wrong reasons. When I made these invitations to this party, I thought to myself, are these people coming because they really like me and they really like what I'm doing? Or are they coming because it's an opportunity for them to be in the room, to say they were there, to be able to just make it about them? And so every person that was at that party on Tuesday night were there for me and for this book and to support me and celebrate me. And I had no question or doubt about their intentions. Sometimes we invite people to things just because we're just trying to make a scene. And there's sometimes certain events where, it makes sense to just have people there because you're trying to do something else. But this was very intentional and a very personal and intimate event for me. And I didn't want anyone there that I felt like was there for other reasons outside of myself. And hell, it was my event and it was my money and it was my sponsors and it was my supporters and it was funded by folks that fuck with me. So I just don't want to, that's just where I'm at. That's just really what it is. That's it. That's it. That's the the point. And I think we sometimes as people oftentimes feel obligated to do things. And I'm just at a point in my life where I'm not going to, in my own personal life, feel obligated to do things that I don't want to do. I mean, there is a lot of being in a public space and being a public face that you oftentimes have to take certain concessions and do certain things because, one, you're getting paid to do it. And second of all, it's not your shit. It's someone else's thing. So you have to get along because that's the world of networking. But what I do in my professional space, there is a separation when it comes to the personal. Like this book tour, I don't control who comes to that book tour. The invitation is open to the public. So anyone can come to the book tour, right? But this was different than that. This was something more personal, more intimate. And I just wanted to be in the room with good vibes, period. So that's that on that. The book was great. The book tour was great. Shout out to Cake Life Bake Shop, which you all saw. They made the most splendid funfetti cake, but it was a book cake. So it was a book and it had, it was like a replica of my book. And it was gorgeous. It was edible. It was fun. Everybody loved it. And we had that at the after party. And Bartender Barry made some great cocktails for the bartender portion. It was like great Bartender Barry cocktails, Cake Life cake. It was a lovely party that we had downtown in Center City. So it was a great party. I really truly loved it. Everyone was so supportive. It was really great. Events, and I really loved how much this was there. So yeah, I love it. Words can't describe how grateful I am for all of the love. Just wanted to put that out there. So the book tour so far. So we, Penn Bookstore was on last Thursday. It was a great crowd, great turnout, great people. did an interview with a DP, which is the Daily Pennsylvanian reporter, about my book, which is full circle because I used to be at the Daily Pennsylvanian as a video producer and as a columnist. And so it was great to be on the other side of that. It was a wonderful crowd and wonderful turnout. Lots of surprising people popped up at the book tour. So at Philly, former city councilwoman Blondell Reynolds Brown showed up. What a surprise. Isaiah Thomas showed up. And that's not too much of a surprise because on that Thursday, as you all saw, Philadelphia City Council had introduced resolution that got passed unanimously by City Council that acknowledged the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists as we get into our 50th anniversary as an organization. We are the nation's first association of Black journalists. We predate the National Association of Black Journalists, and we have been serving the community at large for 50 years. So to see City Council acknowledge that historical moment was wonderful. I was able to give public remarks, which I shared that video where I thanked them for that and talked about supporting our organization. We are a 501c3, and if you want to support us financially or donate to us, you can go to www.thepabj.org. That's the THE PABJ, right? .org, and you can give a one-time donation of any amount for the most part to support our 501c3. We do a lot of professional development training. We do scholarships. We do outreach. We do community-wide events. We have a public event coming up on March 11th at Bayou Lounge, which is right next to Booker's in West Philly. Those tickets are on sale. You can go to thepabj.org to get it. It is a Black Women's History Month soiree. Is a brunch that starts at 11 a.m. on that Saturday. So if you're a Black woman who want to connect with other Black women in media, and of course, I will be there because I'm the president, so I'll be there to support the women. But if you want to have a chance to have a great brunch, you don't have to be a Black woman to attend, but it's for people who love Black women in media. And if you love to come to this brunch, tickets are $75. There will be drink specials, but it'll be a great brunch. We're celebrating it at a Black woman-owned establishment. That was very intentional. And the food is going to be fabulous, and you can support local Black journalists who are going to be recognized and honored at this event. So that is there. The tickets are on sale on the website at thepabj.org. Get the tickets now. Tickets are selling fast. We have invited the women mayoral candidates to attend. Some of them have already confirmed. So you'll see who they are, who shows up, but it's going to be a great event in the community. So please get your tickets, connect with people, support Black women, especially Black women in media, and just come out and have a good time. So just want to put that out there. But yeah, the event on Thursday at the Penn Bookstore was phenomenal. A lot of people showed up. I signed some great copies. It was fabulous. Saturday, I spoke to Teen Sharp, which is this really great enrichment program for a lot of very talented Black and brown students in high school that have college aspirations. Many of them are going to great colleges, including the University of Pennsylvania. And I was on a Zoom call with over 100 kids on Saturday talking about cancel culture. Many of them got access and copies to the book, so the love was there. Words can't describe it. And then Sunday, I did Bus Boys and Poets in DC. We took it off and we are in the streets now. And it was an incredible event. Like I said, Jamila Bay was in conversation with me. We talked about Jamila Bay was in conversation with me, and we talked a lot about pop culture and everything else. And it was fun, and it was actually a little spicy because it was a nice crowd, and somebody from the audience, it was this white woman who was there, and she described herself as a socialist, but she talked about how she's been canceled and was saying that there's a club of people who've been canceled, they have like a canceled society of sorts, and there's a bunch of them. They're all are canceled, and they say have been canceled, and they have formed a group. And she said she read my book from front to cover, but she was very contrarian, and she had some very interesting thoughts. But we ended up having great conversation after the event. But it was quite interesting what was going down over there around this topic of cancel culture. But she was there, and it was a very interesting affair. But I say all that to say that I love Bus Boys and Poets. The food is incredible. I had, not duck, because duck wasn't on the menu, but I had a fried catfish entree that was so good. And the prices are decent, the drinks are good, but that kitchen over there is really popping. They got some really good food at Bus Boys and Poets. I was at the flagship location, which was on 14th Street. I think it's 14th and V Street. DC does alphabets with their streets, but it's like 14th and V Street. And it was a great event. It was like 2021 something 14th and V Street for you DC people. But that was the location I was at, and it was nice in there. It was very cozy. We had the main stage. It was a great crowd, great conversation, signed so many copies, and people really got into the book. So I was in love with it. It was a great event. Okay. So one of the things that really stood out to me about the event and about these events is that a lot of the buzz around the book has been already buzzing amongst the conservatives, the far right conservatives, the Fox News people. And so I want to play you this clip because I thought to myself, now that I, understand how to incorporate audio in podcast, now I have the opportunity to play some audio and you can listen to some things. So I'm super excited about how people receive this. But I want to know what you all think about this clip, and I'll tell you more details about it. But they're talking about, let me just say this, they're talking about me, my Rolling Stone excerpt. They did, Rolling Stone ran an excerpt of my book on their website this week. You can go find it in the link in bio. But as a result of this, it has sparked a lot of people, conservatives and people on the far right. They feel some type of way about, this book, this article, this topic. And I want to play you a clip of what went down on Fox News this week and who said what and what they're talking about, and we'll get into it. So listen.
You know the rules. No shrinking and drinking.
Not a problem, Hank.
Many on the left have concluded that America is a fundamentally flawed, irredeemable, wicked place. You can call it wokeness or political correctness, cancel culture. We will defend America without fear, without reservation, and without apology.
People just want to not feel as if they are walking on eggshells. All of us at any given moment can say things the wrong way, make mistakes.
We're beginning to agree. Cancel culture is a toxic phenomenon. And Rolling Stone is fueling the fire with this op-ed, check this out, claiming it's good for democracy. The feature writer wrote this: straight white men, of course, they're the worst, and other people with power aren't used to getting pushback for the ways they conduct themselves. It gets worse. Republican leaders, bitter over the presidential cancellation of Donald Trump, now want to make it harder for marginalized communities to vote. This is a huge leap. It was a big enough leap to ask Piers Morgan to come into this auxiliary studio and talk about it. He's the host of Piers Morgan Uncensored, and you are fired up about this.
Yes.
I mean, you saw both sides upset about cancel culture and Rolling Stone's embracing it. Which side are you on?
Well, it's complete lunacy to say it's good for democracy. It's the complete opposite. It's terrible for democracy. If you live in a free democratic society, you should have the basic fundamental right to have freedom of expression and freedom of speech. But the antithesis of that is this mindset that Rolling Stone have put out with this writer, which is the woke mindset, which is you will agree with everything I say about how you should think, act, behave, what you should read, what you should watch, what statues you can revere, what history you can accept. And if you deviate one iota from that, one iota, we're going to shame you, vilify you, abuse you, cancel you, round up your families and do all sorts of terrible things to you. It is a ridiculous situation we've got ourselves into. And we have to fight back. It's a war on our freedom.
So two very powerful people, you and Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle in comedy, you as an international personality, I'm not kidding. You both found yourselves saying to yourself, what's going on? Am I going to be alone? What is it like being in that vortex?
Well, listen, I had a situation. I was doing a morning show in Britain called Good Morning Britain. I loved the show. We trebled the ratings in 5 years. It was on fire, this show. And then the Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, Oprah Winfrey Wine-a-thon aired. I said I thought it was all a lot of nonsense and dangerous, nasty nonsense. I said I wouldn't believe Meghan Markle if she read me a weather report. I stand by that statement. I think it's aged pretty well, like a fine Chateau Latour 61. But the point that was really startling was she then contacts the boss of my company, ITV, a big network in the UK, and she says, you got to fire him for not believing me. It's racist. So they basically put me in a position where either I apologize publicly to Meghan Markle for disbelieving her lies, or I had to leave. So I decided to leave. Now, was I cancelled? Well, in a way, she engineered my departure from a show that I loved. But I was not going to allow that mentality to force me into some pathetic, insincere apology that I didn't mean. But that's where we've got to, where people like Meghan Markle think they can control actually how people are employed.
But it's important for people like you and guys like Dave Chappelle to say, no, it's not okay. I'm gonna persevere through it, because very few people have the power and prestige that both you guys had in your separate areas. Elon Musk looked at this article and said this. What doesn't he comment on, by the way? How blatantly obnoxious that they just want to keep canceling people. Do they ever write about music anymore? They should rename themselves Scolding Stone, as all they seem to do is be holier than thou.
Well, also the point I would make about the democratic point he was trying to make. Look at, for example, what happened with that New York Post story about Hunter Biden's laptop. New York Post, who I do columns for, great paper, one of America's great newspapers, publishes an entirely true story, which actually has serious consequences about what the current president may have known at the time when he was vice president about his son's shady dealings over in Ukraine and with Russia and with China. And as a consequence of this true story being published, the woke brigade at Twitter say, you can't publish that. We're going to remove it from our platform. We're going to remove the New York Post Twitter account from our platform. This is 3 weeks.
Take out the president along the way.
3 weeks before the election. All the polls now say, had the public known about that story properly, had it not been censored in that way, had it not been cancelled, then Donald Trump might have won the election. I can't think of a more glaring example of how democracy was damaged by the cancellation attitude.
Absolutely. And if it wasn't for January 6th and everything, the turnabout there, that would have been the focus if we looked at what went wrong in those elections. Meanwhile, Piers, it's impossible to go anywhere in media and not hear about your show on set.
So as you can see, A lot has been going on this week with this book. For starters, I just have several things. So Piers Morgan went on Fox News to criticize the excerpt of my book and the nature of it, which I do believe that cancel culture is good for democracy, but he clearly does not agree. And the person who also don't agree with him is none other than Elon Musk, who also took issue with me discussing cancel culture. So it was very interesting to see these men, have this type of dissent about little old me. But it's not little old me anymore. I guess it's big old me now. But I want to clarify something in the mischaracterization of what he said, because I like to pull out receipts. And this is actually from my book on page 216. He mischaracterizes what actually happened with Meghan Markle and himself and what went down in that situation. I'm going to read like a quick passage from my book. When British media personality Piers Morgan publicly attacked Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex, on a March 2021 episode of Good Morning Britain, he didn't expect the immediate backlash or that he'd soon be exiting the show. Morgan slammed Markle for seeming to criticize the royal family and complaining about the bigotry she faced within the family and from the British press. Many viewed Morgan's comments as insensitive to Markle's mental health and racially insensitive given the racist coverage she'd faced from the British tabloids as a Black woman. The station had received over 57,000 complaints regarding Morgan's comments from disappointed viewers, including one from Markle herself. Public pressure is speculated to have played a role in Morgan abruptly leaving Good Morning Britain after nearly 6 years on the air. So let's be very clear. It was not Meghan Markle solely who had demanded this apology and forced him out. Thousands of the viewers that watched that show felt that what he was doing was targeting her. And as you all know, at one point in time, he wanted to date her, or they briefly dated or something of that nature. So it sounded like a scorned ex that drove some of the dissension that he had towards her. I know, right? Well, we happy that Meghan chose a better looking guy, right? And I mean that by that, a better guy altogether. Looks are one thing, but just Piers Morgan is a total jerk. So it's interesting that, he frames it like she just woke up and decided to go after him. And he doesn't actually, explain the nature of what he actually said about Markle. Because if he did, it might make sense why people would consider him being canceled for that, right? But look, he's got a new show called, Piers Morgan Uncensored. And I look forward to coming on his show and telling him directly how he had all this messed up. But he also noted how Elon Musk had spoke about me on Twitter. He did talk about my excerpt on Twitter, which drove a lot of people to want to know more about my book. And it's been charting high on Amazon since. Thanks. From one pen alum to another, Elon, thanks. But even more so, Fox News ran something on the 5 about this a couple of days ago. Now they're back again talking about it. Is it a slow news day, or maybe this book is just hot to people? But it's just interesting that they will not let this go. Like, they're still throwing this into the conversation. I wonder if Tucker Carlson and the team is actually reading the book and are going to make it a point to talk about it. I am debating on what I want to do. Do I want to go on the show? Do I want to talk to Fox News about it? I want to have a field day with him. I want to have a ball with him. I don't take cable news like that seriously anymore. There was a time where I was really like, this is serious media and these people are making, but now I'm just kind of like, we should, if we can, depending on our emotional capacity, but we should, in some ways, have discourse in our ability if we have a means to an end. If they want to promote my book and get more people to actually wake up on what is really going on, because this book actually drags them to filth, and you all know that when you read it, then let me come on and talk my shit, because at the end of the day, it's going to bring more exposure to the book. And to be honest, look, YOLO. So I'm interested to see what continues to happen with this book, because now people are getting the book, But now we're in that fun spot where people are going to start actually reading it. And I wonder what happens when people actually read the book, not just look at a headline or read a couple of excerpts. And what's funny about Fox News is that they get mad about certain things I'm saying. I'm like, you all are mad about this? Like, this sounds reasonable to me. But, it's in the eyes of the beholder. So it's interesting. And Elon is talking about it. And, the blogs are talking. It's been interesting. New York Post came after the book. They didn't agree with how I was talking about cancel culture, which is hilarious. Breitbart wrote something and said Rolling Stone magazine, cancel culture, good for democracy. Thank you for the promo. New York Post, like I said, really went in on it and said that Ernest Owens penned a book all about cancel culture, but gets a lot wrong along the way. I think you all get a lot wrong at New York Post along the way, to be honest. But I also had great, press. Aldea did a really great story on me called Ernest Owens Makes the Case for Cancel Culture. The award-winning Philadelphia journalist has written a book that delves into the concept and how it can be used as a tool for activism and change. The Daily Kos, which is a really progressive media outlet, said this about the book. In this manifesto from the openly gay Black journalist and president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, Owens offers a fresh progressive lens in favor of cancel culture as a tool for activism and change. Using examples from politics, pop culture, and his own personal experience, Owens helped readers reflect on and learn the long history of canceling. Spoiler, the Boston Tea Party was cancel culture, and how the left and right uniquely equip it as part of their political toolkits, how intersections of society voted for justice, and so forth. So, it's what the best thing about the book is that it is polarizing as fuck. People are picking a position inside on how they feel about my take on it, and it's funny because I kind of knew that was going to happen a little bit, but what is also happening too is it is changing people's minds about it. Folks that are kind of been a little, I don't know how I feel about this. And it's been great to go on this tour so far and see people reimagine what they thought. I was on a really great conversation in Clubhouse. It was a room with over 500 people who tuned in for the whole duration of the program. And I was on there with my good friend, John Pierre, who's also interviewed in the book, and he's on the back cover of the book. Great guy. We went to the Grammys together. This is the other fashionably great guy who was definitely had a lot to say in this conversation we had on Clubhouse about my book and everything about it. And so what was wonderful was how many people came into that room, that Clubhouse room, ready to, feel some type of way, but they learned something, and a lot of people had some different changed minds. So I'm people keep saying, who's this book for? This book is for everybody. Me and Jamarcus make a joke about a certain artist, and they say, who your album for? And she said, everybody. That's how I feel about this book. It's for everybody because, liberals and progressives are going to learn some new things about themselves in this book. Conservatives and those who are on the far right are going to learn some things about themselves. Now, some of them just might weaponize the book because, hurt feelings and hurt dogs will holler. But it is an interesting conversation nonetheless, and I look forward to more to come because there is more to come. So stay woke and stay aware. We're excited over here. So there's a lot going on over here, and I've been following a lot of issues that have been happening into now as we get into the hot topics of the podcast. Before I do that, sidebar, because I gotta make sure this is known. So you all know a year ago, around this time, I was working on this great piece for New York Magazine. It had came out, it was the front cover of New York Magazine, this great cover story project about Trayvon Martin. It was called the story 10 years since Trayvon was this special. And I was one of the writers who wrote a piece called The Rise and Rupture of Campaign Zero, how the founders of one of Black Lives Matter's most prominent organizations fell out. And this is about all of the drama around D. Ray McKesson, Mr. Blue Vest, Jonetta Elzie, Sam Sinaway, and others, Brittany Packnett Cunningham, who did not, of course, speak to me in the story. We did a great interview and we did all of that work, and I did a lot of research and investigative journalism to get to the bottom of the story. So it's out there. Well, the National Magazine Awards, which is, of course, a part of ASME, which is the American Society of Magazine Editors. The project got nominated for a 2023 National Magazine Award for single topic issue. So I'm a part of that team. There were several other writers who wrote other stories as part of the project, but we collectively got nominated for this honor. So I'm very excited about this. There are other nominees as well. So, fingers crossed, have us, your thoughts and prayers. We'll find out at the end of March if we won, but to just get a National Magazine Award nomination and to be a part of this has been wonderful. Shout out to Morgan Jerkins, who was my editor that I worked with on this piece, and Lindsay Peoples Wagner, who really spearheaded this project. She's the editor of The Cut, which is a part of New York Magazine. And this was the first time in my career that I had a national magazine cover with my name on it on the front alongside all those great journalists and reporters. So it was a big deal in my career last year and a highlight, and to get this nomination a year later is just a reminder of taking big risks and, getting the reward. So super grateful. Thank you to ASME for that. I previously won a Magazine News Award. I won the ASME 30 Under 30 Next Award, which is given to magazine journalists under the age of 30. Now, as you all know, I'm 31, so this was several years ago in 2019, and it was an honor to receive that award and to be continuing to write for magazines even now is great. So, please make sure you check out the March issue of Philly Mag. I am a part of a project that is covering anti-gun violence advocates who are doing the work to keep our city safe. And there's some great people that I had the pleasure of interviewing in the story. It's a really important package for the magazine, so check that out as well. So, plug over. So this week has been nothing short but a lot of major moments, and I am excited to talk about some of this national stuff. But for starters, let's talk about what's going over with Trump. Because Trump has been a little quiet, but not really quiet. He's been showing his ass up to Ohio. There's been a lot going on with Trump. But Trump wants you all not to know about what's going on in Georgia. Stay woke, people. Stay woke. Because we've been talking about Ohio, but we haven't talked about some of the things that's been going on with Trump. So there was a jury in Georgia in the Trump inquiry that recommended multiple indictments, a forewoman says. She would not discuss specific indictments, according to the New York Times. She would not discuss specific indictments in the special grand jury's report, but noted that recommendations were not going to be some giant plot twist, which is a big deal. She says it is not a short list, which is a very big deal. So to be clear, this is a special grand jury that investigated election interference involving our former president, Donald J. Trump, and his supporters in Georgia. This grand jury recommended indictments for multiple people for various charges in this final report. And now most of it is sealed, so the forewoman told the jury said last week. Now, she says it's not a short list. They did not name people that they recommended for indictment, since the judge handling the case decided to keep the details secret when he made public a few sections of the report last week or the previous week before that. But many of them, the sections are under wraps. They're looking for, indictment recommendations. We're going to, hopefully we find out very soon. But one of the things that this woman said, her name is, because I want to make sure y'all know who her name is. Her name is Emily Kors, is the forewoman who's a part of the jury. Now, she said that people had asked whether the jury's recommended indicting Trump. She would not answer that directly, but she said, "You're not going to be shocked. It's not rocket science." She wasn't playing with these little hints. But in slim portions of the report that was released, the jurors said that they saw possible evidence of perjury by one or more witnesses who testified before them. She said, quote, "It is not going to be some giant plot twist. You probably have a fair idea of what may be in there. I'm trying very hard to say that delicately." Okay. The tea is hot. You know, if I was a guess, I would imagine, is it Rudolph Giuliani? Is it Mark Meadows, who was Trump's former chief of staff? Is it Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina? The tea is hot. There was a lot going on in Georgia, okay? And it looked like we might get close to something going down. But stay tuned. But Biden doesn't want you to know about, Trump doesn't want you to know about that. And I'll get to why. So people have asked me, what do I think about Biden going to the Ukraine? You know, it's interesting that the Ukraine war is getting close to, a year of conversation. Biden made this surprise appearance. He reaffirms his support for Ukraine, even though there are concerns about Russian-Iran ties. It's been a very interesting, second year of war in Europe, apparently. Damn, it hasn't been a year. It's been nearly 2 years. God damn. But, he's giving billions of dollars in additional military aid for Ukraine. He's trying to impose more sanctions on Vladimir Putin of Russia, who's the president. He's delivering some grim warnings about an alliance between Russia and Iran. Oh, goodness. Please, I don't want war. I don't want a war. I really don't. Every time I hear Iran, I get because y'all remember earlier, 2 years ago, there was this nuclear threat kind of thing for 5 seconds, and everybody was on Twitter saying World War III. This is when Trump was president or some shit. Y'all remember that? For 5 seconds, it was this weird moment. Come the fuck on. Come on. Ugh. It's not the best. But let's talk about what has been going on over there in Ohio, because people have been trying to sleep on Ohio. I'm going to stay woke, okay? Let's talk about what's going on in East Palestine, not the Middle East. East Palestine, Ohio, because, there's been a lot going on over there. There was a toxic train wreck that is fucking up that water. A legendary advocate, activist Erin Brockovich has said that she's warning residents in this small town in Ohio to really watch out. Now, this small town in Ohio, East Palestine, there was a train wreck that happened, leaking all types of toxic chemicals into the water. There's fears about cancer. We're looking at, people talking about Chernobyl comparisons. It's serious over there. And Pete Buttigieg, okay, came into this deep Republican village, okay, and his government issued USV last Thursday, basically trying to address the public uproar, because it's been kind of this, I know that Republicans are politicizing this, and they're going to do it for their own political interests. Even though we know that Republicans and the far right don't give a damn about the environment, that a lot of these issues that happen over there in East Palestine, Ohio, deals with failing infrastructural policies that were already neglected before Pete Buttigieg took the position. However, Pete Buttigieg's response or lack of response over the past several weeks dealing with this has been lackluster, and we got to keep that 100. And there's got to be stronger environmental protections around infrastructure in this country. And there's got to be a little bit more oversight in that. But I do recognize that the Republicans' interest in this is because somebody from the other side is being in hot water, but they don't give a fuck about the environment. They have no plan to address this shit. And so there's been some interesting appearances going on over there. Donald Trump had visited, giving people, bunch of self-branded Trump water, quote unquote. And he's been trying to really basically promote himself, because let's be clear, this area is Trump country. A producer for Sean Hannity came by, trying to talk to locals during a happy hour. Rudolph Giuliani was there. A lot of people, according to Politico, who's talking about the circus that took place there, a lot of people that were living there said they were unsure about, whether they want to drink the water. They've been having headaches and bloody noses. They don't know if they should stay in their house. They don't know what to think about all of these like big names coming, and they don't trust the government. They don't really trust the current administration. And someone even said something, quote, "The only presidents I want to see are dead presidents in my wallet. They're using East Palestine like China and Russia, and the U.S. are using Ukraine. It's a proxy war." Now, that is weird. But these are the type of people that live in that area. Okay? And clearly their views were tainted before the water they lived in was tainted as well. So there's some views that are strong. There is a lot of political manipulation happening. Trump is using this to politicize his reelection campaign. There's a lot of problems. And look, the Buttigieg didn't make it better for himself. He's already a gay man in a very high-profile role right now. They're making him a target easily. But, what can I say? So, locally in Philadelphia, there is a lot going on in Philly. Everybody is running for office. Every time I turn around, somebody runs for city council at large. Y'all are a bunch of cowards. Why is no one stepping up to run for these district seats? Now, there are a couple of people, I must say. And yes, I heard the news. Okay. Longtime city council member Darrell Clark, who is the longtime city council president, Darrell Clark of North Philadelphia, is retiring. He's not running for re-election. It's official, people. And, on Ernestly Speaking, you heard this last week. His chief of staff is running. A former staffer of his, Jay Young, is running for the seat. There's some smoke over there in North Philly in regards to this position. It is going to be a competitive race. I'm excited to see who's going to win. I don't have a dog in the race, but I do have a personal favorite. So I guess I do have a dog in the race. But, it'd be interesting. I would like to see a millennial take the position or get a shot at it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But everybody's running. There's tons of petition signatures. There's people running for judicial seats, which, no shade, but I'm looking at some of these people like, you're running for a judge seat? Do you have the fortitude to run to actually be in that position? Or are you just clout chasing? I don't know. It's up for debate. But what's not up for debate? And this is a really interesting conversation. Last week we talked about the young man from Temple, the young officer at Temple, a part of Temple Police that was killed on the line in the line of fire. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of conversations that have made me think about a lot of the stuff that has happened in the city since, and how people have been talking about this, and it's been tough. But what I talked about last week is the priority of how we're not having these same level of energy and conversations from these elected officials about what happened in Strawberry Mansion. Okay, this shooting wounded 7 people. Okay, was a targeted attack that hit bystanders, and that included a 2-year-old and that 2-year-old's mother. What we see is 3 black-clad mass shooters, which surveillance footage has been released. They were firing at these teenagers, and the bystanders were fleeing with stray bullets. It's a gory situation. The Philadelphia Inquirer reported on it, and other outlets, but basically they were saying that this wounded 7 people Thursday evening. No one died, which is a blessing, but they're going to be impacted with trauma, and apparently, this happened in Strawberry Mansion and, North Philly. This appeared to be a target attack between 3 shooters and a group of teenagers, which is even more alarming. It happened before 6 p.m. 14s were around, 31st and Norris streets in front of a beer distributor and near a school, James Blaine, G. Blaine School. Clearly, this was intentional. They were black clad, masked, hopped out of a silver Hyundai, and just began to shoot at these teenagers using at least one gun with an extended clip. Like, what the fuck? Like, it's just. So much. Give people jobs, give people something to do. Where are the opportunities for the youth? It's easy to just say lock them all up, but you can only lock up so many at the same time. There's a lot going on here to unpack. And I just think sometimes we just are ignoring the overarching theme of why this gun violence is persistent. It's black people in communities where they are not getting the social services and resources they should get. And this is the consequence of when you have a city that is more invested in policing the people rather than providing for the people. And we have these ongoing debates. I'm sick of the debates because the answers are there. We know what the answers are, and they don't want to prioritize it. I mean, this is a city that prioritizes the killing, the few in between killings of police in this city over that of innocent people being shot, and in some cases killed, not in this case, but being shot in our towns. It doesn't warrant the same level of high elevated, we're going to put out a statement within a couple of hours or immediately the same way that this happened with this Temple officer. And to be very transparent and clear, it's not that that officer did not deserve that level of press. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that we don't keep that same type of level of interest and energy for a lot of innocent civilians in our city that is being shot and oftentimes killed. We don't value civilian life the same way we value police life in elected officials' reaction rate to our carnage and our carnage compared to when it happens to cops. There is a very glaring double standard. And it's just, we're just not going to see changes until people get serious about what it means to divest and refund and reapply and redirect funds from this. The pie doesn't increase. The pie typically reduces, but the money reallocates rather than increase unless it's the police department. The police department in Philadelphia is the largest funded institution and department in the city, no doubt. They have nearly $1 billion of money, and no one else can even compare to that at any level with that amount of money and power they have. And they're getting salaries to just continue to perpetuate the same dry, lackluster responses to public safety across the board. It's just despicable. But you know what else is despicable? Is the Roots Picnic. And I know I talked about this on the special edition episode, but for those who haven't listened yet, I looked at that lineup, and it is hard, y'all. It is hard. I know Lauryn Hill is performing. Miss Lauryn Hill is performing. Is she performing? I'm just saying. No shade, but you'll be hearing something from me in Philadelphia Magazine about this more in depth. But I just want to note that the headliners for this show, some of the big names, is not only Miss Lauryn Hill, but Dave Chappelle, who we all know has an ongoing history of transphobia. They have a podcast stage, which they had last year. It's just never been that many entertainers. But they have a podcast stage where they're giving a platform to Charlamagne the God, who, of course, have been notorious for degrading Black women, LGBTQI people throughout the years in the Breakfast Club. You have, DJ Academic, this disgusting blogger who has been consistently filled with misogyny. The way that he went after Meg Thee Stallion is just the worst. And then you have this hip-hop artist, which a lot of you might have heard of, Talib Kweli, who sadly, has been persistently trolling individuals on social media, including me. I don't know if you all remember a couple, like last summer, I briefly spoke around Juneteenth about him coming to the African American Museum in Philly. And I just was kind of like, this dude is like, why are we letting this guy have a platform to talk? I mean, this guy, was accused of really harassing and stalking online. He's been accused of harassing and bothering and bullying and cyberbullying this young black woman on social media. And he's even going as far as calling out and targeting individual black women journalists and queer journalists like myself, for reporting on these issues, or at least raising awareness about concerns people have. So, I can only imagine that if I write anything, that he will react the same way he did back in the summer. And he's obsessive and compulsive with it. Like, he is just relentless, and he's just thinks that this type of behavior is going to scare people into submission. Well, that's just not how it works over here, sir, because, obviously, I'm back again, and your actions have not really ceased. It's a damn shame. You're too damn old to be acting like this. So I say all of this to say that I am boycotting the Roots picnic this year. I do not think that with this many toxic ass men who's been aligned with, transphobia, misogynoir, and anti-blackness, and various other problematic things. The list goes on for so many of them. It would be terrible and in bad judgment for me to be there. One, as a black queer person, this is not a safe space. It runs the risk of liability of any of these men perpetuating the same harm on a bigger, wide stage. And I just don't understand, because people like Questlove has really spoken up against people like R. Kelly, has really, been a leader, in supporting being on the right side of history, especially through, his own progressive slant and understanding and lens. So it's just weird to me. I knew that there was relationships between Questlove and Dave Chappelle back in the day, but it's like, how do you not recognize that this is probably not the best idea? So I'm curious to see how people are going to respond and react. I just feel like, as someone who is in solidarity with my black and brown trans women who cannot afford to put myself up in these spaces where any of these men can perpetuate the same toxic masculinity that has been tarnishing their reputations for a long time now. I just can't support this. I just don't think this Roots picnic justifies going with the ongoing lackluster behavior. And it's so fucking unfair, right? That, damn it, do you not do research? Can you all not do the research and do the work? Like, it's been a problem. But what can I say? This is just another example of our community. This is an event that is taking place on the first week of June, which is Pride Month. This is the same month of Black Music Month, Black Music History Month. Like, this is a rich holiday. This is not the best exhibit and demonstration of Black culture. It's not. This is not for the culture. This is for pick-me's and very problematic, toxic, hotepi type of individuals. And to be honest, it shouldn't even be called the Roots Picnic. It should be called the Roots Pick-me Picnic, because these are people that would be complicit with this type of toxicity. Like, there's too many of these people to be going to this event, and to give the risk of Dave Chappelle saying something inappropriate, you're giving him the platform to be a ticking time bomb. So I can't personally support this. I'm calling for a boycott. I just think enough's enough. It's too many of us that know what these people represent. And for people to try to turn a blind eye on it and act like it's A-OK, it's not. So I'm not here for it. Cancel that damn event this year, or demand that they do better and to actually remove some of these people off the roster. They're probably not going to do that, because Live Nation Urban is a capitalistic entity that wants to make money. So they don't give a fuck about what I think. But I definitely will tell you that I do predict that there will be some collective concern beyond myself. So wait and see. Wait and see. So speaking about complicity, there's been a lot going on with this Chloe song with Chris Brown. I heard the song. It's alright. It's alright. I mean, I listened to it once. I don't gotta listen to it again. It's definitely reminds me of a song by not Chris Brown, by Usher. Um, just saying, it reminds me of a certain song. I think it was called Take Off. I think it was called. Usher has a song called Take Off. I think that was the name of the song. But this is like a little bit of a throwback. So I think that was the name of the song. But it reminded me of that. And I think too many people, throwback. It was throwback. That's what it was. Throwback. Yes, Usher's Confessions has so many bangers on it. I can't even keep up. I mean, the song Yeah is on it. Can You Handle It? Caught Up. Confessions Part 1. Superstar. I mean, even That's What It Made For was a cute song. But Throwback was a moment, okay? Confessions Part 2. Bad Girl. Burn. Do It To Me. Oh, my goodness. Listen, that was a moment. That's all I gotta say. They don't make albums like that. And even talking about Chris Brown, they making comparisons. Sweetheart, Chris Brown has never had an album like Confessions. I just want that to be very clear. He's never had an album like Confessions. I mean, the hits that Usher had, Yeah was a number one. Burn was a number one. Confessions Part 2 was a number one. My Boo, Caught Up. Like, these are 5 top banging records off of one album. It was the second best-selling album of the 2000s decade. The only album that was ahead of his album was NSYNC's No Strings Attached. And if you was born or alive during that era, then you already know. Okay? The album has sold over 15 million copies worldwide. It is the best-selling R&B album of the 21st century by a male artist. Put some respect on that, Libra. That album won several Grammys. Chris Brown only has 1 Grammy. We're going to stop. Don't play with him. Do not play with Usher. I am tired of the Usher slander. I am sick and tired of it. This is just one of his albums. We haven't even talked about My Way. Okay? We haven't even talked about 8701. And I will tell you right now, Here I Stand vocally sounds better than any of the shit Chris Brown has put on an album ever. Don't play with him. Do not play with Usher. We're just not going to do that. Because I've seen these tweets. And they know not to play with Usher because they're not even putting their real face and name on Usher. So I just felt something in my spirit that I just wanted to be very clear that we're not going to play with Usher. Because in 2023, Chris Brown is doing duets with Chloe with songs inspired by tracks that Usher dropped nearly 20 years ago. No one will ever, of that magnitude, he is the blueprint for a Chris Brown. You don't get a Chris Brown without Usher. Stop talking about Michael Jackson. Stop putting Chris Brown and Michael Jackson in the same conversation. We skipping over somebody that was before Michael Jackson, and that is Usher. And people talking about, well, who is Beyonce's contemporary? Usher. Because Usher can sing. Usher can dance. Usher has been able to maintain a strong solo career. He has evolved in his craft. He's been in the game for over 20-something plus years. He started off very young, and he's been able to maintain record-breaking music. Him and Beyonce got a lot in common. They both can't act. Y'all saw In the Mix. Usher can't act, but he's cute. They have tried to do fashion, other things. You know, that's just not the element. But what they are great at doing is giving a damn show. They can perform. They've maintained their beauty. I'm just saying. I just wanted to say that. Next case. So in media news, Aussie media there was a founder, a black man. His name was Carlos Watson. He's kind of a cute old head. But what he's done is not good. He is arrested, y'all, for fraud. Okay? He had a scandal startup. If y'all remember Ozzy Media, OZY Media, he has now been arrested on federal fraud charges. Okay? And this was very much days after his former company's executive, Samir Rao, pleaded guilty to fraud charges. Now, Ozzy Media shut down during the pandemic. This was in 2021. New York Times had did this groundbreaking investigation that basically said that Mr. Rao, who is Samir Rao, the executive, had attempted to deceive investors by impersonating a YouTube executive. Oh my God, that was juicy. But the problem was that federal prosecutors claimed that Mr. Watson, the black man in this, had directed a scheme, quote unquote, directed a scheme to defraud investors of millions of dollars. And the company at one point was valued at $159 million in 2020. There's a lot going on. There was probes. There was a lot of people who was involved. Sharon Osbourne, who, I don't care much about, y'all. She's the wife of, Ozzy Osbourne, rock and roll star. She said that Mr. Watson, she accused, allegedly, because, she accused him of falsely claiming the company had invested in the business, and even went as far as telling CNBC that, quote, this guy's the biggest shyster I've ever seen in my life. Well, But I say all this to say that they had problems for a while. And, it's bad over there. Mr. Rao, the guy who was involved, the executive, he pleaded guilty last week to securities fraud conspiracy, wire fraud conspiracy, identity theft, and admitted to a judge that he made misleading statements to investors and inflated the company's finances. Oh my God. Even the company's chief of staff pleaded guilty to securities fraud conspiracy and wire fraud conspiracy. There's just been a lot of tension and heat around this publication. And I knew something was going to go down when, we had heard about, this media outlet shutting down. Yeah, it's a lot going on over there. But, stay woke. Stay woke. Very, very interesting times. Now, you all know that while I was doing my book on cancel culture, things were getting canceled while we were talking about cancel culture. So I do want to talk about this because there's a lot going on with Dilbert, and we're going to talk about this Dilbert situation. So yes, there's a bunch of newspapers, hundreds of them across the country, that have decided to drop Dilbert. Now, because the cartoonist, his name is Scott Adams, is a fucking racist. And I'm just going to keep it 100. He's a fucking racist. He went on this rant, this ridiculous rant. And to be clear, Scott Adams is the creator of the Dilbert comic strip. He went on this racist rant this week on his video show he has called Coffee with Scott Adams. And a lot of publications, the Washington Post, Los Angeles Times, Chicago Tribune, the entire USA Today network, they have stopped this syndicated cartoon. They're not letting Dilbert be run. Scott Adams is being canceled, and essentially Dilbert is being canceled, the cartoon. A spokesman for the New York Times also said, on Sunday, quote, "We have decided to no longer publish the Dilbert comic strip in our international print edition following racist comments by Scott Adams. The comics publication was limited to our international print edition and did not publish in our U.S. edition or online." So people are not running Dilbert. I mean, it's Black History Month. We know what the tea is. And it's just obvious that these problems has been an issue. Now, to be clear, this isn't the first time that Scott Adams have dealt with quote-unquote cancel culture. Last year, 75 newspapers had dropped him because, let's be clear, he was an avid supporter of Trump, right? Oof. So last year when they dropped him, when it was about 75, over 75 newspapers, so it was a little minor cancellation. But he introduced the comic strip's first ever black character, which he used as a prop to deride wokeness and basically having the character identify as white and LGBTQ for work purposes. Yes, you heard this correctly. He basically tried to mock this black character in Dilbert, which he never had black people in his Dilbert cartoons. It was always an all-white office character with all white people. So it's kind of interesting what has happened in this situation. But yeah, it's despicable. And he's had problems over the years about some of the far right stuff he said. It's problematic for so many reasons. So I'll tell you what he said, because some of y'all may not know. He, first of all, the newspapers pulled, but he doubled down. He says, if nearly half of all blacks are not okay with white people, according to this poll, not to me, that's a hate group, he said on his vlog, referring to this poll from Rosalind poll published over the week. He said, that's a hate group, and I don't want anything to do with them. He continues to say, and I would say, based on the current way things are going, the best advice I can give to white people is to get the hell away from black people. There is no fixing this. You have to escape. And he even said that he moved to his current neighborhood that has a very low black population. So let's talk about what that poll was about that he's referencing. So there was a poll that Adams had cited, and it asked two questions to black people. It said, one, do you agree or disagree with this statement? It's okay to be white. And the other one was, do you agree or disagree with this statement? Black people can be racist too. The poll found that 26% of black respondents said no to the first question. So it's okay to be white, that they responded, no, it's not okay. So only 26% of black people said they thought that said no, that it's not okay to be white. And 21% said they weren't sure, which Adams concluded that 47% had a negative response. So he decided that he added on to the fact that 21% of people said they weren't sure if it's okay to be white. But to be clear, only 26%, which is a little over a quarter of black people, had outright said, no, it's not okay to be white. And so which again, he decided to make something more of it. So he's trash. And I didn't, so Dilbert it's just interesting because growing up, I remember seeing those Dilbert comics. But I never knew that. Who would have thought? This reminds me of Ronald Dahl, who, of course, wrote Matilda. He's wrote a lot of great books I grew up reading. Roald. It's not. I always said Ronald, but it's actually Roald Dahl, who's British, and wrote some really incredible books like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach, The Witches, The BFG, Matilda. I mean, I grew up on these books. Like, these are iconic books. Like he did Fantastic Mr. fucking Fox. I grew up reading these books, like Charlie and Chocolate Factory. I remember those illustrations, Matilda. I mean, these are iconic books. But the man is anti-Semitic. His legacy is anti-Semitic. What a disappointment. Oh, goodness. Why do people ruin things? Why won't people just shut the fuck up sometimes? Like, why not just simply just be quiet? Why do we have to go from 0 to 100 all the time? Like, why? Like Chloe doubling down on this Chris Brown collaboration. I just don't get it, Chloe. Like, There's no benefit here. Like, I don't see the benefit. But I guess we're going to see what these charts say. I'm curious to see if she charts. We'll see. So on to the Shade Room. Shade Room is being weird, but they always have been weird. But this week, I don't know. I just am reminded why I hate the Shade Room. I just don't like it. It's not a media outlet, y'all. I don't know what the fuck it is. But, you know, there was some interesting thing. Doja Cat, they ran these Doja Cat pictures, took the pictures off. There was like a little, like Doja Cat pictures were like salacious. She was in a devil's outfit, being very suggestive and flirty, you know, doing Doja Cat shit. Well, they took the image down, and in an odd way, which this is what shocked people, which I was baffled by the response from them. But basically, they ran this post after taking it down saying, I will never be ashamed of my faith. And it said, if you want to know what side of faith we stand on, we stand for God. We stand for Jesus. If you do too, throw your, and they said praise up in the comments. To be clear, hashtag not ashamed. Good morning. But they did all this right after taking down the Doja Cat post. Now, there has been speculation that T.D. Jakes, which is not true, allegedly, that he's behind owning the Shade Room, which I just don't believe. Then there's this speculation there's a bunch of like religious people who are behind the Shade Room post. I don't know. It's a mass conspiracy. But what I do think is interesting is that they're leaning into this faith for 1 second, but then they're consistently putting a target on Zaya Wade, which is Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union's daughter, that they're putting a target on her back while they're consistently pushing these false narratives elsewhere. Young trans youth are getting, you know, doing a mess. And someone said on Twitter, this is hilarious, they said, this is ironic considering the Shade Room does the devil's work on the daily. Absolutely. You know, I just think it's funny. But then what's even interesting is that they recently had to retract a post that they did on 50 Cent, claiming that 50 Cent got a DDL, which is like a BBL, which, you know, is surgery to enhance his penis size, which they were trying to make some conflation allegedly on there. Well, that got taken down. They had to put a full retraction because 50 Cent's lawyers do not fucking play that. And neither do mine. Like, you just can't be out here saying anything about anybody and playing with them. Some of these celebrities like that kind of attention and rumors. They don't have the finances or legal support to do it. Or they just don't care. But let me tell you something. When you fucking with Beyonce and Taylor Swift and the 50s of the world and the Drakes of the world, they got lawyers, and they lawyers be on it like no joke. So, you know, just saying. Now, Ivy Park. The tea is hot about Ivy Park. And to be honest, I'm not surprised. And, you know, it's Beyonce's clothing line. And you know how we talked earlier about how Beyonce's clothing line was a big deal. Well, the reports are in, and this has been spoken about for a while, but Adidas is set to lose $200 million on Ivy Park this year. That's on top of the $1.3 billion loss from Yeezy. People are trying to figure out what went wrong, and people have broken this up. So there's this guy on Twitter. His name is Rex Woodbury. I'm going to share some of the things he said, and I got some thoughts about it. But he wanted to say, in order to work, a celebrity brand needs to get 3 things right. He says, authentic to the celebrity and the creator. The research says that Ivy Park sales fell 50% in 2022. Adidas projected $250 million, but the brand only brought in $40 million. Ouch. Okay. Now, Beyonce has this aspirational, aloof persona that's at odds with Ivy Park's athleisure style. You know, someone said that they believe she should have created a luxury brand. Now, Beyonce has tried to create, well, not really luxury brands. Beyonce is succeeding with Tiffany and Company, right? Because Beyonce goes for the, you know, classic Hollywood luxury. Beyonce is luxury. You know, there was a time where Beyonce was in Darion jeans. But Beyonce is red carpet, and I think there was a disconnect in people believing that Beyonce could dress like that. Beyonce's 40, like she's 41 years old, and she's wearing these types of clothes. And I'm not saying that there's an age like young women can't. That's not what I'm going here. I'm saying that she was on trend, but it wasn't on trend with how she typically dresses or her brand. Like there was a disconnect there. And she's also very cryptic. And you know what's even interesting is that when you look at her Instagram, she's oftentimes wearing high-end fashion more than Ivy Park. So people wasn't convinced that she could wear it. Now, here's some good examples of people who actually have made it work. Another point that Rex makes is that you need to have a genuine net new insight. So the two best case studies for celebrity brands are Fenty and Skims. Both have a unique insight. Like Fenty was was makeup that should come in more shades for women of color. And Skims, they did shapewear. They made the point that shapewear is outerwear, which was a very inventive, creative idea. You don't have to like Kim Kardashian, but that concept was pretty dope. And then the idea was move beyond the celeb figurehead. So Rex is saying that the best brands elevate themselves beyond one person. So Skims did a really good job where they don't really always push Kim. They put in other people to promote their products. And one example that he references is Mia and Lucia from White Lotus, two girls from White Lotus, for their Valentine's campaign, right when those two women were like literally the cultural zeitgeist. It was a smart idea. I do remember that Valentine's spread. It was dope. Because here's the issue, and Rex speaks on this, Rex Woodbury speaks on this on Twitter. He says, and this is a really good point, that the danger facing celebrity brands is to be closely, he said the danger facing celebrity brands is to be too closely associated with the celebrity. Kylie Cosmetics saw sales fall 50% when Kylie took a break from posting to Instagram during her pregnancy. And Adidas will lose $1.3 billion from Yeezy after Kanye's self-destruction. So, when you put everything on one artist and it becomes all about them, then there's nothing to be shown after that. And then, of course, Fenty and Skims injected new energy into stale categories by introducing high-quality products. People said that. Rex says, of course, people can sniff out inauthenticity and low effort, and in the long run, the best products will still win. It's true. It's true. And he also adds that, new companies, let creators be retailers curating favorite products in their own boutiques. So rather than people create products or something, they let celebrities, like there's this really great company called Flagship, which I love, which they let creators be retailers and curate the stuff they like a boutique. Kind of like Oprah's favorite things, where Oprah is like, these are the things I like, this is my style. And rather than she creates her own line of products, she's just creating a curation of things she likes and selling those products and getting a commission. That's what you do in the business, okay? Personally, my dream would be like that. I would love to curate things and items I like. Like, I love Kiehl's skincare products. Like, they should let me do like a collection of Ernest's favorite skincare line products from Kiehl's and create like a package. We see this with Cardi B and Offset, where they did the Cardi B Offset meal at McDonald's. Now, they don't have to make their own burgers or things. They're just curating the things they like in a meal and not having to reinvent the wheel, but their presentation of it is what people like, like Obama's playlist or book list or something. Curation from people's taste and style is more appealing to some people that don't want to reinvent the wheel and create a bunch of new products. It's pretty dope, actually. So Rex says, too, it's hard to create an enduring brand. Most celebrity brands will fade away. The ones ranking in hundreds of millions of dollars or even billions of revenue are the exceptions, which is Fenty. Fenty is reportedly north of $1 billion. It's the exception. So let me tell you what I think about what went wrong with Ivy Park in particular. I think that Beyonce has this yo-yo approach to some of her things she's interested in. And even one can argue with her music to a certain degree. There was a time, which, again, Beyonce doesn't have to do a damn thing in the rest of her life. She's a billionaire. She can relax on the beach, do what she want to do. And guess what? It wouldn't fucking matter. The woman has done so much for the culture that she really doesn't have to do a damn thing. But if you want to be in the business and people's livelihoods and jobs are connected to Ivy Park and money, then let's actually talk about what went wrong here. First of all, my bestie Jamarcus and I both agree that we never gave a fuck about Ivy Park like that anyway. We want the music, we want the album, we want the visuals. Girl, we don't want these clothes. And what's funny is that her fans, the real Beehive fans, because even when I think about some of my, I don't even know if a man have any Ivy Park shit. Like the diehard Beehivers I know had problems with that, right? First of all, Beyonce really didn't read the room of her clientele. There are a lot of plus size people that said that Beyonce did not make clothes for her plus size male, female fans. She did not have enough big sizes of good clothes and quality products for her fans. Beyonce, know your fans, okay? Like, Lizzo got this Yitty product going, and she loves the big girls. That product is probably going to sell. Those clothes are going to sell because she knows her audience. But I just thought it was interesting Beyonce did not expand her brand, especially when she talks about Darians and big booties and curves and hips. Like, that's your base, girl. Like, how are you not creating clothes for them? So that was one thing that was interesting to me. The second thing that was interesting about the clothing line, she did sometimes incorporate certain celebrities. I do remember certain celebrities rocking Ivy Park, but it was just something about it that was just like, and this was a good point that was brought up, but I also want to just throw it in there, is that it seemed like she gave away a lot of Ivy Park to a lot of celebrities. And the crazy thing about it was I didn't see those celebrities really wear Ivy Park outside of that. So I remember the days, and y'all remember them days too, when we was growing up, Rockaware, Fat Farm, okay, Echo, Mark Echo, y'all remember Echo? Those were the brands, right? What was it? Baby Fat. Y'all remember Baby Fat? Those clothes were so immersed in the culture, people wore them. Like, you would see and catch your favorite celebrities rocking Baby Fat. Kamora Lee Simmons had the girls at the award shows rocking those clothes. Like, that was a trend. And so you would see artists wear those clothes. I will never forget Jay-Z and how he used to rock Rockefeller, or Sean John, right? People will wear that even without having to be given a box or anything. And so with Ivy Park, that culture around wearing these types of clothes, it just never permeated the culture like that. And I think part of it is because there was this heightenedness of being sold out. So now I think there's an illusion, and I think that's interesting to me, that it did not sell as much, but it always felt like Ivy Park products were selling out, right? It would always be a quick drop and it would just sell out quickly, but it really wasn't really selling out. And so it's interesting to me that what was happening, what I've heard, allegedly, is that there would be a limited number sold online on purpose to build the illusion, and then they would slowly but surely ride these clothes into the department stores and other places. So if you go to Marshall's or TJ Maxx or something, you might find Ivy Park in some of these department stores creeping in those department stores. There is a possibility that could be the case. But like, the fact that we have all thought that it was like Yeezys, where these clothes were selling out in hours, that was all just manufactured hype. And I know it had to be manufactured hype because I just never really caught anybody in Ivy Park like that. Like, I was like, maybe because I'm in Philly, but like, no, because these concert tickets are selling out, but it's not like anyone is going to the concert wearing Ivy Park. Maybe a couple of people are, the skinny folks, but like, it's like, if you notice carefully, none of my friends who are diehard Beyonce fans got any Ivy Park gear. And I think a lot of reasons why. I think it was overpriced. I also just think that the clothes were okay. They weren't never like that big. But also, I just I don't think Beyonce was realistic in selling the product to us. It's kind of like when you see situations where Beyonce would talk about the food she liked to eat, like, you know that she was on a strict diet and she wasn't eating like that. It reminds me of a certain TV morning show host. I ain't naming names. I'm just saying that, you know, she'll go out. I didn't need to say the gender. There y'all go. Y'all about to guess who it is. Whatever. But she goes to events, right, y'all? And she'll be posing with these big slices of pizza. And I'll tell y'all one-on-one. I go to these events and she be posing. She'll be eating all that food. And listen, and that's her right. Like, I'm not shaming her for doing it. But I think sometimes people give off the impression of living one way when it doesn't actually align and go down that way. What I mean is that, you know, if you're somebody who keeps a certain physique that's petite and you're taking tons of pictures of you eating big pieces of pizza and big hamburgers and taking big bites, and then you take about a couple of bites and you like literally throw the rest of the pizza in the garbage or the hamburger in the garbage, it's like, come on, now that's not being, because I don't waste around here. Okay, look, I got a body, baby. I love these thick thighs, okay, that have, anyway, I like to eat. I don't waste food around here. Okay, so whatever you see with me, if you see pictures of food that I post, them plates were empty after I took that picture, just to be very clear. I demolish my food. The food is good, I'm gonna fuck it up. I'm not playing. Life is too short. I don't give a fuck about what you think about my body. because it's my body and that food is my choice. But some people are caring about stuff like that. But I just, think it's disingenuous sometimes. No shade. Just saying. So be smart. Okay? Be smart. Be smart, be woke on it. But again, branding placement. So I say all this to say that when Beyonce was promoting aggressively the Tiffany deal with her and her husband, those pictures of her that look like Audrey Hepburn felt more realistic to me. And that was the Beyonce that I can envision more. The times I saw her at Ivy Park trying to make it, it just was like, I'm going to say this with all due respect, but it felt like she wasn't really promoting her brand. It felt like she was modeling someone else's clothing line for a favor. And not to compare, but to make a point about brands, Rihanna was able to promote and do a good job with Fenty because that literally was what she was wearing already. Like that style, that look is Rihanna. Rihanna is Fenty. Fenty is Rihanna. Like that brand was embedded into all the things that she do. It was never like it's today is the Fenty day. Even in her Super Bowl performance, she's rocking and promoting Fenty. She has something innovative and creative, and her whole aesthetic is driven by that. I mean, so much that what I will give her credit for, even though I'm heartbroken, is that she understood that if you want to be a fashion icon, this is a full-time job. You have to really invest in the actual craft. You cannot, try to multitask it. The days of moguls in music having a fashion line, doing movies, doing albums and tours all at the same time, I think that has faded. That type of star power in that kind of way, that Hollywood multitasker, do it all, juggle it all, I think that's faded. I think the reality is that those celebrities can do it all, but they can't do it all at once. And so Rihanna decided to take a hiatus on music to focus on this fashion brand. And I think that's why she's had a lot of success, because she's really given it her undivided attention. So I'll just leave that there. Now, to other news, lighter news, I suppose. The NAACP Awards. I watched them. It was good, y'all. I DVR'd it, and I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was fabulous. It was really good to see so much Black excellence and talent. There was a lot of star power this year, for sure. I love that I'm starting to see A-listers show up to these award shows and really rock with the NAACP. I mean, just really rock with Black award shows, because people keep saying, well, we're going to have our own Oscars. Well, the NAACP Image Awards are televised. There is a lot of great star power. There's lots of awards. I mean, they give out so many awards. They give out awards for books and albums and music videos and movies and documentaries and TV shows and everything, pretty much. Sports stars get them. I was watching it and following along, and I said to myself, you know what? I hope I get nominated for an NAACP Image Award for this book. They got some categories that I was like, you know what? I can see myself being nominated and maybe winning one day. Who speaking into existence, manifested, right? I was saying to myself, I got nominated for a GLAAD Award last year, but an NAACP Award would be dope, right? And a win one, oh my God, like, that would be awesome. Man. All right, man, I would melt. So, listen, we'll see, just putting it out there. I saw it and it was inspired. But one of the things that was really exciting about that night was, first of all, Angela Bassett. Oh my gosh, she was sweeping. She won 3 NAACP Image Awards. She won Best Supporting Actress for Wakanda Forever. She won Best Actress in the TV show for her appearance in 911, and then drama, and then she won Entertainer of the Year overall, which was like a big deal. So Angela Bassett is doing the thing, which she did the thing, which is a reference to that clip from the BAFTAs, the British Academy Awards. So everyone's like, what's going on there with that? So Ariana DeBose, did this I'm sorry, y'all, it was cringy as fuck. And it's this musical segment that she was like dancing and rapping and inserting all the artists in it. And, it got dragged on social media so much that she deactivated her Twitter account because it's just too much attention. But, to be honest, like, listen, it's not the end of the world. She's not canceled, y'all. Like, please. But, like, what was she thinking? Because it is corny. It's mad corny. I'm sorry. It's just corny. And listen, it's not the end of the world. She's an Oscar winner. She's got a BAFTA. She's got a Golden Globe. I mean, she's an acclaimed artist. Like, there's no critique about her there. But I think that what happened with her is that I think she's one of those people where she's going through what I call the Jamie Foxx phase of the career, where you have this major career breakthrough, and then you're in this weird position of you don't know what's next artistically and creatively. So then you just start to just do anything that gives you money and gives you opportunity. And it comes off as pandering and, white people eat it up. But then it just gets to a point where you lose sight of, who you're trying to be and what you're trying to be. And I don't know. I remember she performed at the Tonys and she was a great host for the Tonys. But I just feel like she's getting a little overexposed in a weird way. And I don't know. I think she's 32 years old. She is born in 91, so she's just turned 31 not too long ago. So we are around the same age. But, I think there's something to be said. Now, what's funny is that, Angela Bassett had addressed it in her speech when she won Entertainer of the Year at the end. So it's some interesting conversations to be had, and we'll see. But I think she'll be okay. I think it's a moment, and people move on to something else. Now the SAG Awards was Sunday night, and y'all, I'm a little excited, but I'm also a little like, So SAG Awards is Screen Actors Guild Awards. They are a nice precursor to the I guess you would say it's a good precursor to the Oscars. A lot of people will look at these awards. Now, they do include TV awards, but let's get into it. So, Best Motion Picture or Best Picture Cast went to Everything Everywhere All at Once. That's a good sign. It would be nice to see that film win Best Picture. That's my personal favorite. They beat Babylon, Banshees of Inisherin, The Fabelmans, Women Talking. Best Actor in a Leading Role went to Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Pretty damn dope. People predicted Austin Butler was going to get it. Then there was some people thinking maybe Colin Farrell. But this uptick in Brendan Fraser for The Whale is good, because for a minute it was looking like it could go Colin Farrell or Austin Butler. Adam Sandler was nominated for The Hustler. Interesting. And Bill Nighy was for Living. Now, Best Actor in a Female Actor in a Leading Role, it went to Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a big fucking deal. Because right now, her biggest competitor is Kate Blanchett for Tar. And then Danielle Deadwyler, Teal, and Viola Davis, the Woman King, they're not even nominated at the Oscars. Ana de Armas is nominated for Blonde. You know that there's that other woman that's nominated. That shocked everyone at the Oscars. Her name is Andrea Riseborough. She's nominated. I hope she doesn't win. I don't think she is now. And of course, Michelle Williams in The Fabelmans is nominated in replacement of those two black women. But Michelle Yeoh won. She became the first Asian actress in lead role to ever win. Best Male Supporting Actor is Ki Hoi-kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Best Supporting Actor. He's the first Asian actor to win in that category. Paul Delano, The Fabelmans, Brendan Gleeson, The Banshees of Inisherin, Barry Keoghan, The Banshees of Inisherin, Eddie Redmayne, The Good Nurse. He's going to win an Oscar for sure. Best Actor, Female Actor in a Supporting Role. Now, this one had me gagging, okay, because the Screen Actors Guild Award is all the screen actors through SAG-AFTRA. They are the ones who vote for this. What's interesting is I thought it was going to be Angela Bassett because she's been sweeping lately, but it was actually Jamie Lee Curtis that won for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is nice. It's a pleasant surprise. I don't think she's going to win an Oscar. I still think Angela Bassett's going to get it. I think that one of the things that's interesting is that I think a lot of people were like thinking that maybe Carrie Condon was going to win. Carrie Condon was a front runner for a period of time, but I think that's kind of faded off. Stephanie Hu, it was nominated, and she's also nominated for the Oscar, but I think she's happy that she's nominated, but I don't see it happening. As far as TV winners go, drama series ensemble went to The White Lotus. Comedy series ensemble to Abbott Elementary. That's giving me Emmy. I'm seeing Emmy precursor, y'all. Other standouts, Jennifer Coolidge won for Best Actress in a Drama Series for The White Lotus. And then Jeremy Allen White won for The Bear in the lead actor category for comedy, which is very interesting. And then Jason Bateman won for Ozark, which is over now, so we don't really have a good precursor there in drama. But female actor in the comedy series went to Jeremy Allen White for The Bear and Jean Smart for Hacks. They still love that Jean Hack. They still love that Jean Smart, I mean. So it's interesting to see how this precursor to the Emmys, these performances, but only time will tell. Now, in wrapping up everything, Abbott Elementary this week, the episode was everything. Is it a spoiler or are y'all following it? All I'm going to say is that there was a kiss that rocked the world. And I was like, damn. Great episode. I kind of love, my favorite Abbott episodes have become now the episodes when they are not in the classroom. I find the plot advances when they get out the classroom. And it kind of makes me feel like, this is so random. Like, you know, when you're little and you see your teacher like living normal everyday life and you're like young, you're like, oh my goodness, they're out of the classroom. They're in captivity. What is going on? That's how I feel when I see them like outside of the classroom. It's almost like you feel like you're super intimate and you're evading their space. Like the classroom is where they should be and be always. But to see them as regular people, you know, was demystified. I remember when I went to the grocery store one time. I lived on Highway 6 in Houston, Texas, and so there was a Walmart there on Highway 6. And I am in my apartment that I lived at. Well, actually, this was my townhome that I lived in. It was right behind that Walmart over there in that area. And I would walk over. And one day I bumped into one of my teachers from high school there. I remember I went to my mom. It was like my freshman. I was like, Mom, Mrs. So-and-so was at Walmart. And she was like, okay, like that's normal. Adults go to Walmart. And I'm just like, you don't get it. Like, she at the grocery store. I saw her with my own eyes. But like, you know, that was the thing. Nowadays, it's like, you know, but like, I mean, it was a big deal to see your teacher in captivity. So I feel that way when I watch these Abbott episodes for sure. Now, Bel-Air is back. And I want to argue better than ever. This episode, so Bel-Air, of course, is on Peacock. It's the spinoff on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Initially, I was a little hesitant to watch it because I was like, I don't know how I was feeling about that. But I love it. And my favorite character, he continues to be my favorite character, is Carlton. The guy who plays Carlton is phenomenal. His name is Ali. I follow him on Twitter. He's so fucking talented. I just love his version of Carlton. But I just love his character. And he just seems like a really nice guy outside the show. I just want to just say that Bel-Air is awesome. I appreciate the melanin diversity on the set. I'll just add that because there was some problematic colorist tropes with the original Fresh Prince. And, you know, dark Vivian versus light Vivian. It was some interesting, you know, decisions on that set with color. But I love this current show. It's just full of variations of melanin and black excellence and great storytelling and plot twisting. And Jabari Banks is great as Will Smith. I'll give him credit. I met him in person during election season, and he was out getting people to vote in Philly, which is super dope. And he does play a good Will Smith. I do find him convincing. So no, I love this show. I think the show is really good. The new season is back up, so I've been following that. Yes, I've been watching Baddies West. I can't stop and help myself. The show is getting spicy. I do like with Baddies West on Zeus. I do like that it seems like the women are quicker in being more invested in getting the bag this season. Now, there has been some interesting fights and petty back and forth, but it seems like they're getting to the bag much faster than before. So shout out to the growth, I suppose, for now, but I could be all wrong by the end of this season. And that is everything. I mean, for the most part, like this book is game changing. This book is shaking the table. I am definitely in book mode and really grateful for all of you all who have been supporting this endeavor for a while for me and supporting my work. And I just want to say I love you all and thank you so much for everything and continue to support the book. Before I wrap up, I want to say this, and this is important. If you bought your book from Amazon, please give a verified customer review. Please, thank you. Because the book ratings have definitely been improving substantially. But it means something when verified, and this is data driven. I don't know if y'all saw my Instagram story earlier over the weekend, but now that I'm in the book world, and all the stuff, I'm doing all the research and learning things and talking to people and everything. But those ratings matter. People say, oh, the rating don't matter. They do. When you give a high rating, a 5-star, right, and you're a verified customer on the product, Amazon amplifies the product in the algorithm because, they're like, look, people are really liking it, so people want to buy it, so we want to amplify. So the more reviews it gets, and if it's a good high rating, they continue to push it in the algorithm to make sure they promote it. So it is very big for all of my Amazon folks who order the book via Amazon. Giving it a 5-star rating as a verified customer connected to your account is very essential to helping drive sales and promotion of the book. If you want to see me win, help me win that way. People say, how can I support you? How can I help you? That's a way that you can help me easily. Another way you can help me is if you have not given this podcast a review, a rating, a 5-star rating, please do that. It means so much to help drive the show and keep the show getting it. You hear these ads, the drive of the show having good ratings is what allows it to be monetized so that you don't have to pay for a subscription to the podcast. So that is very important. And also, I want to leave off with this too. Goodreads, my goodness, Goodreads. Goodreads is an interesting website for so many reasons, but I digress. This is interesting because they allow people who did not have a verified purchase to leave a review. And that the bigots and the far right people are ready to come like a bunch of, incest super fans trying to take down the ratings and to really, make the book look like it's not as great as it is. So if you have read the book and you got Amazon and you can leave 2 reviews, please do. And this goes for the audiobook as well. Please, 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 people, take advantage of putting ratings. And I will even, hold myself accountable to that reality. I put ratings for stuff that I like too. Like when I go out to restaurants and nice places, I put ratings up. Like this week I went to Joey Chops and Frame. I put up good ratings for the places. I was like, look, these are great places to eat and things. Put up ratings, help people, support people. It does not hurt to give about a minute of your time or less to just simply give a 5-star or give a good rating to products you like. There was a day, maybe a week ago or so, because I was, working on getting ratings for my book, I started just going on the internet and giving good ratings and reviews to a lot of my friends who had books out, albums out, projects out, restaurants. I think I did like 50 Google reviews like overnight one day because I realized how important it is for people to know what you think about them. And if you really want to keep the boom, it feels so good to go on Amazon and see so many positive reviews from people that's been loving the book. Please make sure you do that. It's so important. I can't tell you how much it helps the promotion of the work that I do and all of the people that are out here trying to make it happen. So thank you all as so much. Love you all. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.